Hello dear listener, please subscribe to our channel. Enjoy watching. For years, I had convinced myself I was living a dream. I was a successful architect, and she, Maggie, was my perfect wife. She was everything I could ever want: beautiful, intelligent, a woman whose smile could light up a room. Together, we were the envy of our friends, the model couple everyone wished they could be. At least, that's how it looked on the surface. In truth, I never knew how easy it was to become blind to something so obvious until it was too late. I first began to feel the cracks around the time I noticed Maggie's new behavior: late nights, unexplained absences, a sudden interest in her appearance, more than usual. The occasional text message she'd leave open on the counter, a name I didn't recognize. Jake, it said, with a heart emoji beside it. At first, I brushed it off. Maybe a colleague, or just a friend. Who was I to question her? I trusted her. But trust, I've come to learn, is often just the first step to betrayal. One evening, I came home early, expecting the usual, her preparing dinner, or sitting with a glass of wine. But instead, I found the house empty. It wasn't unusual; she had often gone out after work, or stayed late at the office. But tonight, something felt different. As I walked through the front door, the house was silent, eerily silent. My footsteps echoed through the entryway as I glanced around. Then, my eyes landed on something that shouldn't have been there. A small drawer in her study was slightly ajar, papers spilling out. I don't know why I opened it, but I did. What I found there left my blood cold. An envelope. Inside was a collection of items I couldn't begin to understand: photographs of her with a man I didn't recognize, tickets to places I hadn't taken her, a hotel receipt, clearly for a different city, a different state. I felt my stomach churn. This was no mistake. Maggie was having an affair. But I didn't confront her immediately. No. I couldn't. I was too angry, too consumed by the idea of everything I thought I knew about her being a lie. I decided to do what I should have done all along: I'd get even. And I'd do it in a way that would leave both of them, begging for mercy. I had to make them understand just how badly they had betrayed me. And I would do it in a way they'd never see coming. There's something about revenge that seduces you. You think you're in control, that it's going to be quick, satisfying. But as I began to plan, I realized that's not how real revenge works. It's about making them feel the betrayal. It's about crafting a moment that will echo in their minds long after the punishment is over. That's when I found the mirror. I'd been at a rare antique store downtown when it caught my eye. It was old, Gothic, crafted in silver with intricate patterns along the edges, and a glass so smooth it seemed to pull you into its depths. It was perfect. I had the craftsman alter it, just a little. A few layers of reflective material to distort the image it showed. They didn't know why I wanted it. They probably thought I was just some eccentric client. The alterations were subtle, enough to make the reflections look almost warped. But no one would notice unless they were looking closely. Maggie wouldn't see it coming. And neither would he. I knew how to get them both in the same room. Maggie's lover, Jake, wasn't hard to find. He was a man of status, an up-and-coming investment banker, full of his own inflated sense of importance. He thought he had won, thought he could take whatever he wanted. And in the end, he did. The invitation was simple: a party. Nothing fancy, just a gathering of old friends. I made sure the timing was perfect. They'd both be there: Maggie, Jake, and a few other guests I'd invited for appearances. But I was in control of this stage. Maggie was going to see what was coming. And so was Jake. When they walked into the room, their eyes landed immediately on the mirror. It was the centerpiece of the space, polished to perfection. Its reflection captured every face in the room, but they couldn't know the truth behind it. I watched them both. They exchanged glances, the way lovers do when they think no one is looking. It sickened me. But this was only the beginning. Maggie smiled, though it didn't quite reach her eyes, and Jake, arrogant, smug, walked toward the mirror. As soon as he saw it, his expression faltered. Then Maggie stepped forward, too. They both stared into the glass, and that's when it happened. The distortion began. It wasn't immediate. At first, it was subtle. The reflection seemed off. But as they continued to gaze into it, the distortion deepened. Their faces began to warp. Their eyes bulged, their features twisted in grotesque forms. Maggie recoiled first, but Jake stood frozen in front of the mirror, transfixed. And then came the whispers. A voice, low, almost imperceptible, began to hum from the reflection. Asterisk, you thought no one would find out. Asterisk. They didn't hear it at first. But the moment they did, I could see the fear settle in. Their faces drained of color. Jake turned to Maggie, his eyes wide, but she was too frozen to respond. Asterisk, you thought you could get away with it. You thought you could play him, and he'd never find out. Asterisk. I watched them struggle. They both tried to break away, but no matter how far they moved, they couldn't escape the mirror's grip. They were trapped, unable to look away, their faces becoming more and more distorted, their own fears and insecurities projected back at them. I could feel their panic. But I wasn't done. Not yet. By the time they finally broke free from the mirror's pull, they were both on the floor, gasping for breath. Maggie was sobbing, Jake was shaking. Neither one knew what had happened, only that something unnatural had taken hold of them. That was when I spoke up. You want to know what happened? I said, my voice calm, almost too calm. You've been trapped. The mirror doesn't just reflect what's in front of it. It reflects your soul, your sins. And it shows you the truth, the ugly truth about what you really are. Maggie's eyes flicked to me, terror in them. No, no, it can't be, what do you mean? I smiled. You really didn't think you'd get away with it, did you? But just as I thought I had them cornered, Maggie did the one thing I didn't expect. She turned on me. Did you think I didn't know? She hissed. Did you think I didn't see it in your eyes? You've always been weak, always too afraid to act, to make the choice. I knew it the moment I started. You never really had the guts to fight for me. My blood turned to ice. You think you've got me, don't you? But you've been living in a dream. You thought you could punish me with that ridiculous mirror, but you're no better than I am. And then it hit me. The trap wasn't mine at all. It had been hers. She had played me into this corner. The mirror was only the beginning. Her confession wasn't just for me. It was for herself. She had known all along that the power of the lie was stronger than the truth. She knew the mirror couldn't break her. It was the only thing I never saw coming. In her betrayal, she had turned the tables on me. And I had been her fool all along. I didn't know what to say after that. My revenge had twisted and crumbled in my hands. The mirror had done what I wanted, it had shown them their ugliness, their guilt, their greed. But it had also shown me something I hadn't been prepared for. The truth, my truth, was worse than any punishment I could have imagined. And when I finally looked into the mirror, I didn't see Maggie or Jake. I saw myself. If you leave a comment, tell us what you think about the story you heard, it's important to us and will help us find and tell stories that you find interesting. Thank you for watching us.